I sat at my desk, staring at the divorce papers in front of me. My hands trembled as I read through them, my chest tightening with a mixture of anger and disbelief. Among the legal language and formalities, one sentence stood out, hitting me like a slap across the face. Wife has demonstrated consistent financial incompetence and inability to contribute meaningfully to our marriage. Financially useless. Was that really what Daniel thought of me? After 5 years of marriage, this was how he chose to describe me. It would have been almost laughable, if it didn't hurt so much. My name is Judith, and at 30 years old, I never imagined my marriage would end like this. What made it even more ironic was that I was just days away from finalizing the sale of my tech startup, the company I built from the ground up. The software firm specializing in AI-driven market analysis was being acquired for $800,000. Yet, to Daniel, I was financially useless. I glanced through the glass walls of my office, watching my assistant Amanda laugh as she scrolled through her phone. Lately, she'd been acting differently, taking longer breaks, making secretive phone calls, and showing an unusual interest in my company's financial dealings. Now, noticing the expensive designer handbag slung over her chair and the new diamond bracelet glinting on her wrist, a cold realization settled in. A notification popped up on my laptop, pulling me from my thoughts. Another email from our acquisition team. The final steps of the deal were nearly complete. I had kept the negotiations private, not because I wanted to hide anything, but because I believed in letting actions speak louder than words. Daniel never understood what I was doing. With his background in real estate, he dismissed my work as playing on computers. He never cared enough to learn, never saw the potential in what I was building. To him, it was just my little project. Amanda's voice interrupted my thoughts. Judith, Daniel called. He said he'll be sending someone to pick up his things this weekend. Thank you, Amanda, I replied calmly, though I noticed the hint of a smirk on her face as she turned to leave. Her bracelet shimmered in the sunlight, the same style Daniel's mother had given me on our first anniversary. I turned back to my laptop, opening the company's secure folders. First thing tomorrow, I'd revoke Amanda's access to all company systems. It was standard protocol when an employee left, and I had no doubt she'd be handing in her resignation soon. The divorce papers sat on my desk, waiting for my signature. Daniel wanted a quick, clean break. He thought he was leaving behind a financially incompetent wife, moving on to something, or someone, better. He had no idea that while he was planning his escape, I was closing the biggest deal of my career. 3 days later, I sat in a sleek office in downtown Palo Alto, my attorney, Barbara, flipping through documents. Miss Kennedy, by finalizing this divorce now and not disclosing the pending sale, Mr. Harrison will have no legal claim to your business assets. Do you understand that? I nodded, remembering the moment I first suspected something was wrong 6 months ago. Daniel had been working late more often. Amanda had suddenly taken an interest in how our company was valued and how investments worked. I wasn't the jealous type, but I was smart enough to be cautious. So, I hired a private investigator, not to spy on my husband, but to protect my intellectual property. The pictures I received confirmed what I had suspected. Amanda and Daniel, meeting for private lunches. Their conversations weren't just romantic, they were about business, about money. I signed the final document with a steady hand. Daniel thought I was financially useless. I saw no reason to correct him. A notification popped up on my phone. My VP of engineering had sent me a message. Amanda just submitted her resignation, effective immediately. Says she's pursuing an exciting new opportunity. I smirked. Right on schedule, I murmured. Should we be worried? Barbara asked, noticing my expression. No, I replied, just someone who thinks they've found a better opportunity. What Amanda didn't know was that she never had access to our actual AI technology, only the user interface that clients saw. If she thought she had insider information, she was about to learn a harsh lesson. Later that day, I overheard 2 developers talking about how Amanda had been bragging about an exclusive real estate deal she was involved in, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, she called it. I recognized the pattern, the same kind of too-good-to-be-true scheme that had always fascinated Daniel. Let them chase their quick riches. I had built something real. The acquisition deal closed on a Thursday afternoon. Standing in the office kitchen, I watched my team celebrate, their glasses raised in a toast to the company's future. To Judith, Michael, one of our developers, cheered, the best boss, who never once mentioned she was secretly a genius millionaire. Laughter and applause filled the room. I smiled, taking a sip of champagne. Daniel never understood real success. He had always been searching for the next big break, chasing easy money. He never realized that true wealth came from building something valuable over time. My phone buzzed again, a message from my attorney. Divorce finalized. Harrison didn't contest any terms. Congratulations, you're officially single and significantly wealthier. I was about to respond when my accountant, Tyler, hurried over, looking flustered. Judith, you won't believe what I just heard. He glanced around before whispering. A friend of mine at First Bay Bank said Daniel just took out a massive loan against his real estate holdings. He's liquidating everything to invest in some exclusive opportunity. I kept my expression neutral as I processed the information. Amanda must have convinced Daniel that she had inside knowledge of our company's technology, but she never had access to the actual proprietary algorithms. That's interesting, I said, taking another sip of champagne. I'm sure they know what they're doing. That evening, as I packed up my office, I found an old photo of Daniel and me at a holiday party. He was looking at his phone, distracted, while I was deep in conversation with my developers. Even back then, we had been in different worlds. I dropped the photo in the recycling bin and picked up my laptop. Tomorrow, I'd start a new chapter, leading my team in the next phase of innovation. As I drove home to my new condo in the hills, my phone buzzed again, a message from my old private investigator. Thought you'd want to know, Amanda just bought a one-way ticket to the Cayman Islands, solo traveler. I didn't reply. Instead, I turned off my phone, poured myself a glass of wine, and stepped onto my balcony to watch the sun set over Silicon Valley. Sometimes, success isn't about revenge. It's about moving forward, and letting others deal with the consequences of their own choices. I never waste my time worrying about people who fall for get-rich-quick schemes. There are always those who believe in easy money, no matter how many times reality proves otherwise. Over the next few weeks, news about Daniel and Amanda's scams spread like wildfire. One morning, while grabbing my usual coffee at a small cafe in Palo Alto, I overheard a heartbreaking conversation between two men. They had been colleagues of Daniel's, and now they were victims. He took everything, one man said, his voice shaking. My retirement savings, my kids' college fund, all gone. The second man sighed heavily. Amanda showed us all these reports that looked so real. They promised we were making 40% returns every month. We believed her. How could we be so stupid? She worked at a tech company, and we thought she knew what she was talking about. I quietly paid for my coffee and left. There was nothing I could say that would change what had already happened. Back at my office, I had real work to focus on. My AI company was expanding faster than we had projected, and I was in the middle of hiring new leadership for our Singapore branch. Our success wasn't built on deception but on real innovation and hard work. Later that afternoon, my phone rang. It was Barbara, my lawyer. The FBI is involved now, she informed me. Daniel and Amanda set up fake companies across 7 states. So far, the estimated losses are around $5 million. I wasn't surprised. Any sign of them? I asked, though I wasn't particularly concerned. Their Cayman Islands account was drained 2 days after they arrived there. Last sighting was on a yacht. After that, the trail went cold. She hesitated before adding, the investigators want to know if you'd be willing to make a statement about Amanda's role in your company. Just send them our HR records and my previous statement. I said, Amanda was a secretary. She had no access to our technology. If she said otherwise, that was just another one of her lies. Barbara sighed. They also found some emails from Daniel. He was bragging to investors about leaving his financially useless wife right before launching this scheme. I smirked. The irony wasn't lost on me. Karma has a way of taking care of things. Barbara, meanwhile, I have a board presentation to prepare. We're expanding into medical AI applications. That evening, as I walked through our bustling office, I felt a sense of pride. The recent acquisition had allowed us to bring in more developers, and our technology was evolving rapidly. On one screen, our AI was analyzing cancer treatment outcomes. On another, it was predicting climate change patterns. This was real work with real impact. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Local real estate mogul and former tech employee wanted in multi-million-dollar investment scam. There they were, Daniel and Amanda. smiling in old photos, looking polished and professional. The article described how they had tricked investors with fake AI trading algorithms. Michael, my lead developer, glanced at my phone. Hard to believe they thought they could fake our technology. We've spent years building these algorithms. I set my phone aside. People believe what they want to believe, especially when they're chasing easy money. Michael grinned. On a better note, the medical AI prototype passed its first round of testing. The venture capital firms are already interested. That's what matters, I said. Let's focus on the future. 6 months later, I was at a major tech conference in San Francisco, presenting our latest medical AI breakthroughs. During a break, I scrolled through an in-depth article on Daniel and Amanda's fraud. The Wall Street Journal had exposed the entire scheme, revealing details even I hadn't known. They had planned their scam from the moment our acquisition talks started. Amanda had used her position as my assistant to forge documents, blending snippets of real AI technology with fake trading results. A reporter from Tech Weekly approached me as I left the stage. MS. Kennedy, any comment on the Harrison Martinez investment scandal, given your past connection? I looked at her calmly. My connection is simple. I run a legitimate AI company. Our work helps hospitals predict patient outcomes and assists climate scientists. That's what I'm here to discuss. Back in my hotel room, I received an email from the FBI. Daniel tried to hack into your company's servers after Amanda lost access. He was trying to steal actual AI trading algorithms. Your security measures blocked him, but we'd appreciate your team's help tracking their digital movements. I forwarded the request to our security team. Of course, we'd help, but I had more important things to focus on. Our medical AI system had just received fast-track approval for hospital trials, and major healthcare providers were eager to partner with us. That evening, Barbara sent me another message. They caught Daniel. Buenos Aires airport security flagged him using a fake passport. No sign of Amanda or the money. I was typing my reply when my VP of operations knocked on my door. Sorry to interrupt, but the Singapore team just made a breakthrough on the climate modeling algorithm. They're ready to demo. Let's set up the call, I said, putting my phone away. The past could wait, the future couldn't. The next day, news broke that Amanda had disappeared with most of the stolen money, leaving Daniel to take the fall alone. He had tried to escape, but now he faced extradition and serious federal charges. A year later, I sat in a courtroom, watching Daniel's sentencing. He looked much older than his 35 years, his once arrogant demeanor now replaced with quiet defeat. The judge was firm. Mr. Harrison, you are guilty of wire fraud, investment fraud, and conspiracy. Your actions have destroyed lives. The court sentences you to 12 years in federal prison. I didn't stay to watch him being led away. I had a board meeting to attend, one where we'd be discussing the rollout of our medical AI system to 50 new hospitals. Our technology had already improved patient outcomes by 40%. Our climate modeling division was making major strides in predicting extreme weather patterns. The media had started calling our story the tale of two paths, contrasting Daniel and Amanda's greed with my company's legitimate success. As I drove back to headquarters, I thought about how differently things could have gone if Daniel had ever understood the value of real innovation instead of chasing empty promises. But people looking for quick riches rarely recognize true value when it's right in front of them.